Guys, I just finished my drum room and I'm really stoked about some things that I just got. Watch this. Yeah. Isn't that sick? I think so. What is going on, everyone? I'm so happy to see you. It's Drew Harper here again with another video. I know it's been a while and I'm a little late. I've got something for you. Today, I've got a video. Kind of has to do with this new build of this room. There are so many things that people don't talk about when it comes to recording drums. And not fully just like the recording process of drums, but like how do you set up mics on a drum kit, and why might setting mics up on a drum kit be difficult when you have never set up your drums to be mic'd. Now today I am going to talk you through that, and I'm going to let you know some of the difficulties, the things I ran into that was a struggle, but that's what we're going to get into. The first thing I had a problem with was the fact that I had to figure out where to hang my overhead microphones. If you're in a basement, which I know a lot of drummers, that's where they are. Sometimes it's not, and sometimes you're in the attic. Talking to you, Eric. Anyways, but you actually have access to floor joists or beams or whatever, or studs, and you can just drill a little flange to actually hook your microphones from above you, and that is genius, and that's the way I wanted to go because it saves money on stands and it just gets them out of your way. They're kind of permanently there. Another thing with overheads is you need the right microphone stands. If you get normal like vocal, like singing microphone stands or like instrument stands, they're not tall enough. You have to be able to get them up, like out of the frame, like way up, so that you're getting a good picture, mainly your cymbals. So normal mic stands are not tall enough. You gotta make sure that you get some of the tallest mic stands you can, which that makes it expensive, and that's why I hung mine from the ceiling. Number two is you have to clip your microphones on to your drums. Usually when you get new drum microphones, everyone's gonna go for like the cheaper drum mic kit or pack, and they always have drum clips so you can clip the mics right onto your drums. It's great, but there is a problem. If you set up your drum set with abnormally low cymbals and things are really close together, you have to remember that you have to get mics in there, and if you can't get a mic in there, you're not going to be able to record that drum. I had that problem mainly on my snare drum. I played pretty low hi-hats, but I couldn't fit my microphone in there. It ended up hitting the hi-hats every time I played. Looking at this microphone, it's actually really tall. Like, the drum is here, and you have to be able to take this whole gap. That's like a good 4 or 5 inches there. You need space. You're gonna have to make sure that your hi-hats are high enough that you can fit the mic in there. Now, this goes for all of your other drums too, because if your ride cymbal is too low, your floor tom mic is gonna have a problem hitting the ride too. That goes for your toms too. Number 3, kick drum. People get a stock kick drum and it doesn't have a hole in the head, but you might actually want that. It might help or it might hinder you, depending on what kind of sound you're going for. But with a sound for like pop music or rock music, you're probably gonna want a hole in the bass drum head so that you can isolate that sound better, because the kick drum actually allows a barrier between the other sounds when you have the mic inside. So that's something nobody ever really explained to me, was the kick drum head and why I need a hole in it. What help does that do when you're micing it? I found that out quick, and that's why I put a hole in the head. But I didn't have it for, you know, the majority of my drum recordings. So the microphone was outside of the kick drum. Now, because of that, there is a lot of cymbal bleed. So what I did was I took the case that my mics were in and I put it around like the kick drum. So it's almost like a kick drum mic box. So like you're blocking off more sound from entering the area of the kick drum. I still use it even though I have my kick drum mic inside now. The other thing with that is if you're going to end up putting your mic inside of the drum, you need a mic stand that can allow you to do that. Number 4. This idea of like saving space, like floor space, is big when you're in like a small room or even just normally recording drums. I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 microphones. There's 8 cables running along the floor. There's not a lot of space, but in that you're gonna go like, do I need stands? I probably don't want stands. You might wanna save some space. I have a rack system, so I'm going, well, maybe I could hang a microphone off the rack. Don't do it. This right here, that is a microphone arm clamp thing. When I was talking about the snare drum microphone, I actually wish I could have it a little lower and in there, tucked in away so I don't hit it or anything better. So I actually hooked this arm on to my hi-hat stand. And I was like, man, this is great. I'm so excited. It's out of the way. It looks better. It's kind of sleek. It matches the hardware and stuff because it's chrome. This is great. It's a dream come true. It changes the game. That was until I decided to record with it. This microphone does not have a shock mount for it except through the clip that clips onto the rim of the drum because it's plastic. It's to absorb shock so you don't hear when things are wiggling because it'll move with it. It'll absorb the shock. It's a shock mount. But when you don't use the clip, it doesn't absorb any shock. So I hooked this on to something that I move not only with my hands, like I hit it and it moves, but also move it with my foot. And because everything is rigid attached to all of that, you hear every hit of my stick on the hi-hats and you hear every like tap of my foot through the stand and then into the microphone. In pursuit of saving space, if you're going to hang things off of stands you've already got, either make it already a mic stand because there is no impact, or you have to buy another shock mount so that if you do hang it off of something like a cymbal stand, that you won't hear every single hit that you don't want to hear through it, because it's a weird like low end, like, yeah, it's just not nice. You don't want it. It's not what you want. So in pursuit of saving space, remember, shock mounts are very important when you're hanging things off of other stands. Number 5, thing you don't know is you have to route cables all the time. Especially, I'm assuming in this way, you're trying to mic your kit so that you can make drum covers or videos on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. So in that, you have to kind of make things look good as well. So cable management is important. You have to kind of hide the cables enough from the camera so people aren't like just staring at these cables that are hanging all over the place and hanging down. Like, you've got overhead. Somehow those cables have to make it to the ground. They have to make it to your interface. And it would suck if they're just kind of hanging here, dangling. When I wasn't in this room and I was way out in the basement where it was unfinished, I had them actually routed behind me and they're just kind of hanging behind me, and in one of my camera angles You could kind of see it, but luckily because of the lighting that I had, it was dark behind me, so you didn't really notice, which is good. But you want to manage your cables. Run them off of stands. I have a rack system, which is nice, and that actually helps me a lot. So I just run each mic. So my floor tom mic goes over and then onto the rack and across and down. But the biggest problem is your overheads. If you're doing what I did and you're not using stands, you've got to figure out how to get them down. Because if you have stands, usually you wrap it around the stand so it follows it down. So it's not just kind of hanging out in the middle of the room. But this way there's no stands coming to the ground, they're just hanging off the ceiling. So how do you get the cables down? Now, you might want to invest in like command hooks or something, and if you're in a basement, some of your rafters might actually help. That's what I did in the other space, but I've got command hooks now and I'm routing them across the ceiling and down the wall. They're actually just right here. They're not that far away, but they're just out of the way. Miking a kit is super fun, and I'm learning how to record, and I'm learning about mic placement. A lot of people are talking about mic placement and ways to mic your drums, but nobody's really talked about the fact that you need to remember that there's organization, there's space that you need to manage, as well as the way you even set up your kit and get comfortable with your drums can actually determine whether you're able to mic the kit or not. So if you're in the middle of a time where you're like, I'm thinking about in the future being able to mic my drums and record drums, and also I'm kind of getting used to the way my drum feels, I'm thinking about moving things around a little bit and adjusting, remember, keep in mind, you have to have space for the microphones. That's like key. If you go back, there is one video that my hi-hats actually kind of slid down, and I didn't notice that until after I was done recording. Every time I hit a big shot on the hi-hats, it hit the microphone cable and it did like a sound every single time. You can go check it out. Harry Styles Golden by Drew Harper. It's a drum cover. I danced in it, had fun, and I ruined the recording. But not many people notice. That is the reason why you need to have space. I hope this helped. I hope this was something you needed to think about, and it'll change what you do with your drum kit and help you know what you should do when you want to record your drums. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a like, because that helps me so much. I appreciate everyone who does. I appreciate all of the comments. If you want to give a comment, thank you. That would be awesome. Just tell me what you need to know about drum mics that would be cool to learn, whether it be from me or somebody in the future. But let me know what you would like to know about miking drums or drum mics. If you want to subscribe, that would be sweet. I'd love to have you join this group of people on my channel. It's not a very large group, but it's a nice group. It's a group of cool people. Covers, things like this. I love it if you would be a part of this. Anyways, I hope you have a great day. Remember to always dream big. I'll see you in the next video.